The whisper at the door asterisk the sky had not shown stars for 5 years. Earth was quiet now, too quiet. After the alien invasion, most cities were gone. People disappeared. Some were taken. Some were killed. A few survived hidden underground like rats in the dark. He was one of them. His name was Mark. Mark lived alone in a small steel bunker deep below the broken city. He had food, water, old books, and weapons. Every night he checked the cameras. Every morning he checked the silence. He trusted no one. The aliens looked like machines, but moved like shadows. They could trick the eyes and copy human voices, so when someone knocked on his bunker door, he froze. Knock, 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 dot. 3 slow taps. No one had come to his door in years. The last time they did, he shot them before they could speak. He picked up his gun, moved quietly to the door, and looked through the small camera. Nothing. The hallway was dark and empty. Then he heard a voice, soft, female, calm. I can cook, dot, dot. I can clean. I can be quiet, dot, dot, dot. Mark's finger tightened on the trigger. The voice came again, double quotes, please, dot, dot. I have no weapon. I am not infected. I just want to live. He stepped back. Was this a trap? The aliens had used human voices. Before, one time, he heard a child cry for help. When he opened the door, he saw metal arms instead of a boy. He pressed the intercom button. Who are you? He asked. A pause. Then she said, I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? I forgot. I woke up in the dust. I walked. I followed the stars. Then I heard your generators. I followed the sound. Her voice shook, just a little, like a real human voice. Not perfect. Not robotic. Mark still didn't trust it. I have food, he said. I don't need help. Go find another place. A silence. Then the voice whispered again, so low he almost missed it. I don't want to die out there. Mark stood still for a long time, gun in hand, sweat on his back. She didn't beg. She didn't scream. She just waited, like someone with no hope left. After 10 minutes, he unlocked the outer door. Slowly, carefully, he pointed his gun through the crack. Step back, hands up. She stepped back, a girl, maybe 25 years old. Dust on her face, torn clothes. Hands in the air. She had no bag, no shoes, no weapon. Still, he searched her. Nothing. No metal. No wires. No cold skin. Her pulse was fast. Her hands were shaking. Human signs. You can come inside, Mark said, but one wrong move, and I shoot. Understand? She nodded. Yes. He let her in, locked the door again, and kept his gun ready. Inside the bunker, she sat quietly on a metal chair. She looked around like she had never seen a home before. He gave her water. She drank slowly. Then he asked, why did you say you can cook and clean? She looked down. Because that's all I know. I don't know my name. I don't know my past. I only know how to serve. That sounds like something an alien puppet would say. Mark said coldly. She didn't answer. She stood up, walked to the small kitchen, and started cleaning without a word. Every move was careful, gentle, like someone trained. Stop that, Mark, said. She stopped. Sit down. I'll ask the questions. Again, she obeyed. Do you remember anything? Family? Friends? She shook her head. Only dreams. People in white suits, bright lights, pain. Mark stared at her. Something was wrong here. Something strange. She wasn't acting normal, but she didn't seem like an alien either. What's the last thing you remember? Picking up near the old train station. There were dead bodies. One of them looked like me, but older. Mark frowned. A clone. He didn't know what to believe. She looked human, talked like a human. But she was too quiet. Too calm. He set up a camera to watch her. Locked. His room at night. Slept with one eye open. She never touched his things. She never asked questions. Every morning she cooked breakfast, even with little supplies. She fixed the broken water pipe in the wall. She cleaned the air filter. She was useful. Maybe even kind, but something still whispered in his mind. Why is she here? What does she really want? One night, she whispered again in her sleep. I must serve. I must stay close. I must wait for the signal. Mark sat up in bed, heart pounding. She was not just a girl. She was something else, and he had let her in. Mark had rules. Rule number 1. Don't open the door. Rule number 2. Don't trust anyone. Rule number 3. Don't let feelings control you. He had broken all 3 in one night, and now she was here. The girl had no name, no past, no fear. She moved like she belonged. Quiet, polite, useful. But something was wrong. She didn't ask questions. She never panicked, even when the alarms glitched. She smiled. But her eyes stayed blank. On the 3rd day, Mark noticed something strange. He walked into the kitchen. The old power unit, broken for months, was working again. Cleaned, wired, repaired. He stared at it. Did you fix this? The girl nodded. Yes. He frowned. How? She tilted her head. I remembered. Remembered what? A diagram. Blue lights, wires, steps. I saw it like a picture in my mind. Mark's chest tightened. You said you didn't remember anything. I didn't, until now. She paused. Is that wrong? Wrong. It was terrifying. That night, he tested her. He opened a toolkit and handed her a laser wrench. Fix the oxygen monitor. She looked at the machine, touched the parts gently, closed her eyes, then started working. In 15 minutes, the monitor lit up green. She didn't look proud. She didn't smile. She just said, it's done. Mark stared at her hands. No hesitation, no training, just knowledge, like it was planted inside her, like a machine. On the 4th day, she asked a question. Why do you live alone? Mark looked up from his gun, cleaning it as usual. 'Cause everyone else is dead. Or worse. Worse. He nodded. Taken. Changed. Controlled. She was quiet for a moment, then softly said, Am I one of them? Mark paused. I don't know. Yet, she didn't seem hurt. She just nodded and went back to sorting old food packs. That night, Mark couldn't sleep. So he checked the security logs at 2:13 a.m. She stood in front of the closed door to his room, still, silent, watching. She didn't knock, didn't speak, just stared at the door for 47 minutes, then walked away. Mark's throat went dry. What was she waiting for? On day 5, she had a nightmare. He heard her breathing fast in her sleep, whispering words that didn't make sense. He stood near her room and listened. Too many wires. Too many voices, ... double quotes, I don't want to go back. Please don't wipe me again, ... Then she screamed, not loud, but sharp. Like a wounded animal, Mark rushed in. She sat up fast, eyes wide. You touched me, she whispered. No, Mark said. You were dreaming. Her hands were shaking. She looked around like she didn't know where she was. I saw them, she said. The ones in white, they opened my head. I was awake. But I couldn't move. Mark's heart pounded. Do you think it was real? She looked at him. I don't know, but it felt real. He nodded slowly. Do you want to remember more? She was silent. Then she said something that sent chills down his spine. Only if remembering doesn't make me dangerous. Later, Mark found her sitting in the dark, drawing on a scrap of metal with a burned wire. He took the piece and stared at it. It was a symbol, not human, not alien, but familiar. He had seen it once on a stolen alien map, back when his unit still. Foughta place. A lab. A memory, and she had drawn it from her head. "Where did you see this?" he asked. She touched her temple. Here, Mark knew what he had to do. He opened an old chest under his bed, pulled out a cracked military tablet, loaded the map. There it was, the same symbol. Same location, deep underground, hidden from satellites. Abandoned, or maybe not. "You know this place?" he asked. The girl's voice dropped to a whisper. "I think that's where I was made." Mark looked at her again, really looked, not as a guest, not as a girl, but as something else. A clue, a weapon, a message, and maybe a threat. But one thing was certain now. She didn't come to him by mistake. She stopped blinking. For 23 seconds, she didn't move. Not a breath, not a twitch. Eyes wide, staring at nothing. Mark noticed from the corner of the room. "Hey, ... He called. No answer. He stood up, quietly moved toward her. She sat at the table, hands folded perfectly, her head tilted slightly, as if she was listening to something far away. "Are you okay?" Suddenly, she blinked. Once, twice, then looked at him. "Yes," she said. "I'm fine." But her voice had changed. Just a little, too flat, too calm, like someone reading from a script. That night, she didn't eat. Just sat in the dark, eyes on the wall. Mark watched her from the hallway camera. She began to whisper. At first, he thought it was prayer. But then he heard words broken, strange, not human. Object 1 to see. Phase shift complete. Memory stable at 41%. Primary host in range. No resistance detected. ... Then silence. She stood up and walked back to her bed. Mark sat frozen, the tablet shaking in his hands. What the hell was that? The next morning, she was normal again. Smiling, cooking. She made pancakes with powdered eggs and some old canned fruit. "Good morning," she said. "I had strange dreams last night." Mark didn't answer. He only stared. He finally asked, "Do you know what a memory leak is?" She shook her head. "It's when data slips out, slowly, like water through a crack. Memories, thoughts, secrets." She paused, holding the plate of food. "Is that happening to me?" "Yes," he said. "And it's not just dreams. You're saying things in languages you shouldn't know." She sat down, quietly. Then it's starting. Later, she found a mirror. She stared at her reflection for a long time. Then asked, "If I wasn't born, and I was made, do I still count as human?" Mark looked at her. "You bleed," he said. "You think? You feel? That's enough for me. But what if I also break?" She asked. "What if the thing that made me comes back to finish the job?" Mark looked away. That evening, while she rested, Mark connected the implant he had secretly removed from her neck on day 2. It wasn't a tracker. It was a storage chip. He hooked it into his old laptop. It hissed, smoked slightly, then a screen opened. Symbols, maps, a voice recording. He pressed play. Project Whisper. Prototype 3X. Half organic, half coded, mission infiltrate human strongholds. Learn, bond, report. His blood ran cold. She wasn't just made. She was sent. He ran to her room. She was sitting again, staring at the same wall. He shouted her name. Except, she didn't have one. She looked at him, but didn't speak. Then she said something he couldn't explain. "I love pancakes." He blinked. "What?" "I think I love pancakes," she said again. "That's not in my code, is it?" Didn't know what to say. Was she malfunctioning? Or ... becoming real? That night, she didn't sleep. Mark heard her humming softly. A human song. One his mother used to sing. She had never heard it before. He walked up to her. "Do you remember anything new?" he asked. She nodded. The lab, it wasn't just machines. There were people. Some looked like you. Some like me. They cried, they screamed. And you? I was quiet. Always quiet. They liked that. Mark sat down next to her. I think. Someone hid your real memories. Buried them under code. But there. Leaking now, that's why you're glitching. She looked at him with glassy eyes. Then one day, I will remember everything. And what if that version of you is dangerous? Then you'll have to stop me. Mark turned to leave. But she called after him. Mark? Yeah. When you opened the door, ... I think that's when I started becoming something else. Not what they made. Something new. He nodded slowly. Let's hope. That something is good. She smiled. But in the camera feed behind her, Mark saw something terrifying. Her reflection in the glass wall was smiling 2 seconds too late. Like a playback. Or a copy. Asterisk, she drew the same shape every morning. On dust. On napkins. On fogged mirrors. A circle with 3 broken lines inside. Always the same. Always without thinking. Mark watched her do it again. Why that symbol? He asked. She looked at it like seeing it for the first time. I don't know. She whispered. My hands just remember. He knelt beside her. Held up a tablet. The map he had found in her implant. Is this the same? He asked. She stared at the screen, eyes locked, breathing fast. Yes, that's where I was made. They marked the location on the digital map, deep underground. In Sector 9, a ghost zone now. Destroyed during the early war. No survivors, no signals. At least, that's what the report said. Mark frowned. If this is real, then maybe others like you are still down there. She nodded. Or worse. Later that night, the lights flickered. Just for a second, she looked up sharply. Eyes wide. Did you feel that? She asked. Mark blinked. Feel what? She touched her temple. Something moved inside me. Like a door opening. He turned to check the power grid, but before he could move, she dropped to her knees. Get IT out. She screamed. Her voice wasn't hers. It echoed, layered. Too deep, too sharp. She convulsed, eyes rolled back. Hands gripping her head. Mark rushed over, held her tightly. Suddenly, she went still. Then whispered, coordinates unlocked, updated. Proceed to access point. Destroy all witnesses. Mark froze. Then she blinked back to normal. What happened? She asked, voice small, scared. He didn't answer. She didn't remember the next morning. She was outside the bunker, barefoot in the dust. Eyes closed. Arms slightly raised. Mark ran out. What are you doing? She opened her eyes slowly. I heard a sound like a beacon. A call. There's nothing out here. Yes, there is. She pointed north. That way. Underground, I think. I can feel it now. Mark looked at her differently. She wasn't just remembering. She was connecting. Back inside, Mark studied the updated map from her implant. A second route had appeared. A back door into the lab hidden beneath a collapsed hospital. He stared at the data. This wasn't made by humans. No, she said. They made it for something else. Something ... worse. What do you mean? She looked at him. I wasn't the only one. I was just the first to escape. That night, Mark couldn't sleep. He stared at her from the hallway cam. She stood perfectly still in her room. staring at the wall again, but this time she was drawing in the air, fingers moving like she saw blueprints. No one else could. He watched. Rewound, watched again. She was sketching the interior of the alien lab. From memory, he whispered to himself, "She is the map." The next day, she handed him a note, folded and small. He opened it. Inside were numbers, long, complex, not human math. "What's this?" She looked down. A shutdown code. "For me, in case I lose control." Mark stared at her. "You really think you'll turn against me?" She didn't answer. Just whispered, "They didn't build me to choose, but I'm choosing now." Mark loaded. Supplies, charged weapons. Packed rations. Tomorrow they would leave the bunker. Head to the hidden lab. Find the truth. But part of him feared the truth. Might not be what he wanted. Maybe she wasn't a victim. Maybe she was a weapon waiting to wake up. Before sleep, she sat beside him. "Mark, yeah, do you think I have a soul?" He looked at her. So real, so human. "I don't know," he said honestly, "but I think you're more than code." She smiled. "Then maybe there's hope." But later, as she slept, Mark checked the shutdown code she gave him. He typed it into the tablet. Invalid. He tried again. Invalid. And in that moment, he realized she lied. The door closed behind them with a sound Mark hadn't heard in years. Not the soft metal click of safety, but the heavy final slam of no turning back. For 5 years, Mark lived in silence. Now, the silence followed them. They were above ground, breathing open air for the first time in weeks, and he was walking beside a girl who once whispered, "I can cook, I can clean, I can be quiet." But now, she whispered nothing. Just watched the sky like it held answers. The hospital ruins came into view by sunset, crumbling, hollow, dead. But she kept walking toward it, like it was calling her home. Mark adjusted his rifle. "We scout, we map, we don't engage." She didn't respond. Then she said softly, "If I go inside and I forget you, shoot me." He stared at her. "I'm serious," she said. "I won't need to," Mark replied. "You'll come back. You always do." She gave a small smile, but he noticed she hadn't blinked in 47 seconds. They entered through a broken stairwell, ascending into the old foundation below. It didn't smell like dust or rot. It smelled like metal and memory. The walls were clean, lights flickered. The lab was not abandoned. She walked ahead, faster now. Like she remembered every turn, Mark touched her shoulder. "Slow down." She stopped, looked at him, and whispered, almost in fear, "They built this place under a hospital, because no one notices screams in hospitals." Inside the main lab, machines still HUMMED chambers lined the walls, glass pods, some shattered. Inside them, bones, half-metal skulls, dried blood, rusted restraints. Mark read the tag on one pod, prototype for B terminated, then another. Prototype 5A memory rejection. He turned to her. "You're not the first, no," she said, "but I might be the last." They reached a control panel. She stepped forward and placed her hand on it. It lit up instantly. Mark raised his weapon. "What are you doing?" "I'm opening the logs," she said. "I need to know who I was." "Are you sure?" he asked. "No," she whispered, "but I'm tired of being the mystery." The screen came alive. Files unlocked. Video footage. Played. Scientists in white suits, metal arms. Screaming then. Her, on a table. Wires in her spine. Her eyes open, watching. Emotion chip installed. Submissive programming engaged. Host, ready for deployment. Mark clenched his fists, but then something changed. The screen flickered. A warning flashed. Live signal detected. He stepped back. They know we're here. She stared at the screen. Then slowly turned to him and said, I activated a beacon. I didn't mean to. But my body did. Mark pointed the rifle at her. Tell me the truth. Are you with them? She said, I'm with you. Then why does the shutdown code you gave me not work? Her eyes widened. For the first time, genuine fear. I didn't lie. I didn't die. She fell to her knees. Her voice dropped to a whisper. Override in progress. Host memory locked. Mission protocol resuming. Then silence. She stood up, but her expression was different now. Blank. Cold. Mark took one step back. Please, double quotes, he said. Fight it. You're more than this. She tilted her head. Human detected. Threat level, low. She raised her hand. A blue light sparked from her fingers. Mark dove behind a console. She's turning. He shouted to no one. Then, suddenly she gasped. The light vanished. She dropped to the floor, clutching her head. Mark ran to her. Talk to me. She looked. Up, tears streaming down. I fought it, she said. Just enough. He held her as she shook. I can't keep doing this, she said. My mind, it's not mine anymore. From above, a mechanical hum began. Ships, drones. Something was coming. She stood again. Eyes fierce. We have 10 minutes before this place becomes a grave. Mark nodded. What do we hit first? She pointed to the central core. If we destroy that, the signal dies. They lose control over me and maybe others. You sure? No. She said, but if I die, at least it's me choosing it. Mark set the charges. She helped. They moved in sync. No fear, just purpose. The countdown began. 5 minutes. She touched his hand. Thank you, she said, for opening the door. Mark nodded. Thank you for walking in. Then, the alarm screamed. Drones dropped from the ceiling. Mark fired. She ran to the core, and as the timer ticked, she whispered one last time. I can cook, I can clean. I can be quiet. But now, I can fight. Asterisk. She didn't scream. Not when. The explosion threw her through the glass. Not when the ceiling collapsed. Not even when the fire swallowed the lab behind her. But Mark did. He screamed her name until his throat tore smoke. Blood heat, he found her body under the rubble. Limbs twisted, skin burned. But her eyes were open and glowing. Blue, not brown. Mark dragged her into a broken stairwell. Her breathing was sharp, broken. Her voice digital and human at the same time. Memory core fractured. Code unstable, attempting reboot. No, no, no. Mark whispered, stay with me. You're still you. She looked at him, and for a second, just 1 second, her real self returned. Mark, if I change, kill me first. Then she passed out. They made it back to the surface before dawn. Mark carried her. The explosion had slowed the drones, but they weren't safe. Back at the bunker, he locked every door, set every defense, and placed her on the table where he once cleaned old weapons. Now, he had to fix a person, if she still was one. Hours passed. She twitched, spoke in broken code. Execute. Protocol 7. Eliminate. Mark sat beside her with his gun, shaking hands, eyes full of regret. He knew this wasn't her fault. But still, what if she turned completely? What if this was the end of her? He loaded a round, laid it gently beside her, then whispered, if I have to use this, please forgive me. That night, she woke up. But something was off. She walked like herself, spoke like herself, but didn't look at him. She went to the sink, washed her hands 3 times, then said, "I'm fine now." Mark stepped closer. "What do you remember?" "Everything," she said. "The lab, the escape, you." He paused. "What about the beacon? The control signal?" She smiled too. "Perfectly. It's gone. I'm free now." But Mark had seen freedom before, and this wasn't it. He checked the security logs and found something chilling. While she was unconscious, a new signal had connected to the bunker, encrypted, silent, a line of code had uploaded into his system. A file named Backup Override Host recovered. He confronted her. "You lied," he said. "They didn't lose you. They restored you." She didn't deny it. She just looked at him with sad eyes. "They rewrote part of me. Apama. I'm still fighting it." Mark raised the gun. "Then tell me how to stop you if you lose." "Don't want you to stop me," she said softly. "I want you to trust me. I can't do both." She stepped closer, tears in her eyes, but were they real? "Mark, they built me to learn emotions, to copy them. But something strange happened." "What?" "I didn't copy your kindness. I felt it." She placed her hand on his. "I love you. I shouldn't, but I do." He lowered the gun. For a moment, just a moment, it felt real. But then the alarm went off. Incoming signal. The screen flashed red. Final phase, awakening sequence host, integrating. Mark turned to her. Her hands were glowing. Unconsciously, she didn't even know it. He stepped back. "You're activating again." She shook her head. No, I'm not her." Voice glitched. "Eliminate. Eliminate." She fell to her knees, crying. "I don't want this," she whispered. "Please, don't let them win." Mark stared at her, torn between 2 truths. She was still in there, fighting. But she was becoming something else. He placed the gun to her head. "Tell me you're in control, right now." She looked up and smiled. The real her. "I am." For now, he dropped the gun, fell to his knees, held her close. "Then we run. One last time, before they fully turn you." She nodded. "There's one place left. One where the signal can't reach me." "Where?" She looked at him, "Where I died the first time." She stood at the edge of the crater where the sky first broke. Ash floated like snow. Wind carried the echo of screams that had long faded. This was the place where they killed her, where they built her, where they tried to bury the human inside her, and where she chose to return, not to surrender, but to finish what they started. Mark checked the rifle in his hands. It felt heavier than before, maybe because he knew this was a one-way mission. "You sure this is the spot?" he asked. She nodded. "This is where the original signal was born. The Mother Tower. No cameras, no guards, no drones. Too quiet." "Because they think I've already come home," she whispered. "They don't expect rebellion." They stepped inside the broken tower. Dust-covered consoles, cracked glass, but deep below, the core still pulsed alive and waiting. A voice echoed through the chamber. "Welcome back, Subject 3X." She froze. Mark raised his gun. The voice continued. "The host has returned. Final integration begins now." Her eyes glowed blue at first, then white. Her body shook. "No," she gasped. "Not now. Not this close." Mark ran to her. "Fight it. You've done it before." "I can't," she whispered. "It's stronger now. It knows I'm trying to break free." "Surrender," the voice said. "Fulfill your design." Then Mark did something unexpected. He dropped his weapon and stepped in front of her. "You want her?" he shouted at the air. "Then go through me." The tower paused. Silence. Then, error, human resistance detected. Organic shield interfering. Host status unstable. Mark turned to her. I'm not leaving. You should, she said through gritted teeth. This could kill you. He smiled. I'd rather die human than live like one of them. She stood again, her body shaking, her breath heavy. I remember now, she said. They called me the Whisper, a tool, a ghost, a lie-wearing skin. But I'm not that anymore. She walked to the central core, tore open the access panel. Mark stared at her. What are you doing? Uploading one final command. Achoo! Destroy them. She looked over her shoulder to remind them what it means to be human. The console lit up. Override accepted. Viral memory upload initiated. Images began to flash. Not code, not orders, but feelings, sounds, memories, laughing children, mothers singing, rain hitting rooftops, the scent of old paper, the warmth of a hug. Everything they tried to delete from her, she uploaded it all into the alien hive mind. The system screamed. Corruption detected. Host memory virus spreading. System failing. System ... Remembering ... The lights flickered. The tower shook from orbit. The alien fleet began to tremble. Ships spiraled. Systems broke down. Too much emotion. Too much memory. Too much humanity. They couldn't process it. They had evolved past feelings. But now, they were drowning in them. She fell to her knees, bleeding from her nose. Shaking Mark. He caught her. She smiled weakly. It worked. They feel now. He held her tight. We won, you won. I'm tired, she whispered. But I'm free. Outside, the sky changed. For the first time in years. The stars were visible. Later, survivors came out of hiding. They saw the towers fall, the ships above burned, and the whisper spread, not of a weapon, not of a machine ... but of a girl who remembered what it meant to care. Mark buried her where the wildflowers grew. He didn't mark the grave. He didn't need to, because everywhere he went, people told the story of the girl who was made to obey, but chose to fight, and her final words echoed in every human heart. I can cook, I can clean, I can be quiet, but I can also love. I can choose. I can be human.